I was a first grade teacher in Glenburn, Maine, and our new principal brought a small group of us teachers together. A sales rep used a large desktop computer and showed us a demonstration. This is the way of the future, we were told. Several years later, and still in the 1980s, I was hired in Gorham as a middle school guidance counselor. My office was located next door to a rudimentary computer lab. It was the first time that I witnessed the student use of computers and the keen interest that students had in technology. It was when I took a position in Biddeford in 1989 that I witnessed and experienced the excitement of working in a brand new, state-of-the-art school with a modern computer lab. It wasn't until the mid-1990s that I was a principal in SAD 60, and that I received my first laptop. I remember the thrill and the excitement that I felt, along with the thoughts that I had a lot to learn. I was a member of the Maine Association of Middle-Level Education Board when former Governor King's MLTI proposal was first introduced. I remember the struggle that the board members had over the thought of handing out laptops to middle school students. Many pro and con comments were shared, and ultimately the MLTI proposal was embraced by the board. How has technology changed your life? In my life, I have two daughters, one who is in her early 40s, and a second who is an 8th grade student and 14 years old. These two daughters have technology not only daily, but probably by the hour in their lives. If I hadn't embraced it, I don't know how we would be communicating today, because I must say, almost every day, we're either emailing or texting, or using some form of technology to communicate. For many of us adults, I look at technology like I look at skiing. I was not introduced to skiing as a child. I had 5 brothers and a sister, and skiing for our family was not an option. But as an adult, I attempted to learn to ski. And it's a very different experience if you haven't grown up with it. So I'm hoping today, as you go through your day, and you have the opportunity to learn more about technology, that you will stay positive and carry on as you have been, bringing technology into the classroom, keeping it alive for our students. And I just want to take a moment before I put our Yarmouth students in front of you to read something from The Connected Family, a book by Seymour Papert, one that I highly recommend if you haven't had the opportunity to read it. A teacher learning story. From the time the computers came, I was afraid of the day my students would know more about programming than I ever will. At the beginning, I had a big advantage. I came fresh from a summer workshop on Logo, and the students were just beginning. But during the year, they were catching up. They were spending more time on it than I could. Actually, they didn't catch up the first year, but I knew that each year the children would know more because they would have had experience in previous grades, and because each year more of them would have computers at home. Besides, children are more in tune with computers than we grown-ups. The first few times I noticed that the students had problems which I couldn't even understand, let alone solve. I struggled to avoid facing the fact that I could not keep up with my stance of knowing more than they did. I tried to hide the fact. I was afraid that giving up this stance would undermine my authority as a teacher. But the situation became worse. Eventually, I broke down and said, "I don't understand your problem. go discuss it with some of the others in the class who might be able to help, which they did. Working together, the students could figure out a solution. Now, the amazing thing is that what I was afraid of turned out to be a liberation. I no longer had to fear being exposed. It had already happened. I no longer had to pretend. And the wonderful thing was that I realized that my bluff was called for more than computers. I felt I could no longer pretend to know everything in other subjects as well. What a relief. It has changed my relationship with the children and with myself. My class has become much more of a collaborative community where we are all learning. And that's what today's about. We're all here to learn. And at this time, I'd like to have you join me in welcoming our guests from Yarmouth High School.
Good morning. We're from Yarmouth High School, and we're going to talk about our one-to-one laptop program and laptops and learning in schools.
Hi, I'm Drew Grout, 16, sophomore at Yarmouth High School.
My name is Jake Smith. I'm 16 and I'm also a sophomore.
My name is Mackenzie Gray. I'm 15 and I'm a sophomore.
Hi, my name is Alex Lucas. I'm 15 and I'm also a sophomore.
And I'm Jackson Hall. I'm 16 and I'm also a sophomore at Yarmouth High School. And so we're just going to start off with just the uses of technology in the classroom. Start off with one big thing in the classroom is we use calendars and a lot. This is a picture of a calendar, and all teachers have a wiki or a Google site, which is where they'll post their homework and all class assignments. So we can always go on to their wiki and see what the homework is or what we're going to do in class. And since we all have a laptop, we'll start off at the beginning of class, we'll log on to their wiki and see what we're doing and see what the homework is. But not only do we use this for school, but we'll check our sports schedules during breaks, and students and parents can subscribe to these calendars, which are made by Google, and they can see what we're doing in class and what our homework is. And I think the big point of these calendars is there's really no excuses once we get these laptops and we can look at the calendars all the time, because we always know what the homework is, so there's no excuse for not doing the homework or not knowing what's going on in class. So I think that's a big point for calendars. Sorry. And I'll go on to the next slide. The next slide is in biology class. We use digital microscopes, and basically what you do, for any biology teachers out there, you probably use microscopes. Well, at Yarmouth we have digital microscopes, which every student can plug their microscope into the computer, and the digital microscope will project an image on the screen. We can take videos of specimens. Just last week we were looking at single-celled organisms, and we were supposed to take videos and take pictures and take amalgamations, which, for any of you that don't know, is a set of pictures that's in a row showing movement. And this is a big step forward because we used to diagram with pencils and pens, and that really didn't show the full picture of the organism. But now we can always go back and look at these pictures and videos, and we can measure the organisms, we can diagram with arrows. And another great thing about this is we can share these videos with other students through their teacher's wiki. And a good example of this is cytoplasmic streaming is a rare event that happens in some single-celled organisms, and we got to see this, and we shared it on YouTube, and all the students got to see it when they opened up their laptop. One more example is, you may not think it, but we use technology in physical education class. And I'm not even talking about health class where we're in the classroom learning about nutrition or first aid. Although we do use it in there, we also use it just in the weight room. We use it in the gym, doing physical activity. We use video to track running form. And this is just an example. You can look at the screen. This is my friend, Devin. And so it's pretty simple. Basically, the teacher videos us, sends us the link, and we fill out this form. The other student will get the form with our feedback, so the other student can tweak their running form and know how to run better. Pretty simply, it really helps us out a lot being able to look back again and again at stuff and then change it. And another thing is we video our weight room assignments. We basically, the gym teacher will tell us to do a weight room exercise, and we'll video it, and then we make a movie of all the exercises and then share it with the whole entire class, so the class can look at examples of some of their friends doing the same exercises and seeing what's wrong and what's right about the exercises. And these all go up on his website, so we can all log on to his website and look at all these videos. Yeah.
So I'm sure as you guys have gone through high school, we've all had that one teacher that just sits out and writes stuff up on the whiteboard or the chalkboard or whatever it is. And I'm sure there were some of you that just sat in the back of class saying, I wish I could see this. I wish I could touch this. I wish I could, maybe go out and do this. Well, as we've all gotten laptops in Yarmouth High School, we have been able to, see this. Prime example is biology. If a teacher's out there showing you, this cell is splitting, and she's trying to draw it on the chalkboard, and you're saying, what is this? How does this apply to my life? Well, with laptops, we can go and we can watch videos. We can interact with it. You can see it 3, 4, 5 different ways, ways that you never would have thought it could happen in the past. So it's just a huge tool it helps you reach out to all different types of learners. Some kids are visual spatial learners, some kids need to touch it. And now with technology, you can reach all those kids and effectively teach them. So also, one of the huge pieces of laptops is the fact that you can share information. Before, somebody says, share, what you did, and you say, okay, I'll go show my classmates. Well, with technology, now you can show not only your classmates, but you can show, your uncle who lives in California. You can even show kids in China that are still doing the same thing. So it's just, as you can see by this map here, it shows, the red dots are the hits that we've gotten on our website throughout the world. And you can see that, there are red dots in Japan, there are red dots in Hawaii, there are red dots in Africa. Our information is being shared all around the world and to kids and adults everywhere. So, that's a huge thing. You never would think that, your little art project that you made freshman year would be viewed by, children in Africa. But with technology, that's something that can happen now. And there's a huge program with Yarmouth High School in collaboration with kids in Singapore. And, you might think, how does this work? But we have Ning that helps us, and you can have face-to-face conversations with these children in Singapore through the video in our laptops, and you can get things done. It's not just like, hi, how are you? What's the temperature in Singapore? It's, hey, I'm working on this project. What are you doing? Do you have any insight? Can you help me with this? So it's just, it's great to be able to collaborate with kids from all over the place. And you can actually get things done. So another huge thing about laptops and collaboration is Google Docs. Google Docs is, it can work as a word processor, but you can also share it with other students. I mean, this whole slideshow was created by all of us, and most of the time we were not sitting in the same room. We were at our houses just working on it, and yet you could see the changes that everybody else was making. I mean, before, if you were to make a presentation, we would all have to be sitting around a table, all have our pencils out, and all have to be focused at the same time. But with this technology, you can do it at your own time. You can spend, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. We don't all need to be in the same room to have this collaboration. So it's just a huge tool that makes everything easier and more accessible. And it really levels the playing field. I mean, kids that, sometimes your parents aren't home and you can't get a ride over to somebody's house to work on a project. Now, you don't need to get that ride. You can sit at your house and you can do it and work with those kids and really get things done. So that is how we use Google Docs and collaborate with the one-to-one program.
So another big thing that technology has helped us out with is current events. And one of the things we do is go to CNN Student News, and you can see the picture in the corner of the website, and it gives an overview of current news that is going on in the world. And you can see there's little videos that we can click on and watch. And we also have access to YouTube at home, and at school too, which we can see firsthand some of the things that are going on in our world. So that's really helpful. And we also have Google News, which has the top stories and local things that are going on. And these things all help us keep up to date with what is going on in our world. So that's very helpful, because it's very accessible and easy to use. And we also have a section now on how we can extend our knowledge and learning at home. One of the first things is online textbooks and other resources. When you start working at home, at school, and then you want to take your work home because you maybe didn't have enough time to finish, you can take your answers home that you've started on the online textbook and keep them saved so you can just continue when you get home. So that's very helpful so that you don't have to start over or look over things again. And we can also, in Spanish class or other language classes, we watch interviews with students from different countries and also some listening activities at home. So these are very helpful to kind of have a different way of learning a language other than listening to a teacher up at the front of the room talking. So that is very helpful too. And as both Drew and Jackson talked about, we use the technology in science a lot, and we take videos of clips and animations, and we can view these at home and analyze things, and a lot of times we continue our labs at home and analyze and talk about what's going on and what we see. So that's very helpful to be able to just come home and do that work when we're not in a classroom. And the current events is another big piece, which it says we can get up-to-date information from reliable resources and other scientific things. So this is a good way for science lovers to reach out and see things that are interesting to them, and they don't just have to be in school to do it. So that's about how we can use technology at home also.
Another big tool that a lot of students use is Quizlet. It's an online flashcard studying tool. It keeps track of your score, and you can share your flashcards with others, so you can study anywhere. I used it a lot to study for vocab quizzes. So in English, this is the Greek vocab 8 Gen. It shows the word, and then you have to define it, and then you can reverse it, and you can see the definition and then show the word. So it encourages friendly competition between students to see who can get the highest score, who's doing the best at home. And it's definitely an alternative to traditional flashcards, because flashcards don't always work for everyone. So there's different games that you can play built into Quizlet, and it's really helpful for a lot of people. Another thing that the one-to-one program at Yarmouth has helped us with is it created a virtual library for all of the students to have access to, including iChat, emails, the Marvel database, and collaboration. For example, emails, there's easy communication with every student and faculty member. All you have to do is type in the student's name or the teacher's name, and you can just send them an email, and you can tell when they've read it, if they've replied to it. Everyone checks their email all the time, so if you have a question about the homework or what the homework was, then you can just email the teacher or your friend and get an answer. The Marvel database is something that we use a lot in class. It's access to thousands of magazines, newspapers, and reference books, including the entire Britannica online encyclopedia, so you know that you're getting reliable information and it's easy to access from the internet. Another thing is the collaboration that we do in VoiceThread, Google Docs, and Google Spreadsheets. Like someone else mentioned earlier, you can be working on the same document or spreadsheet at the same time as someone else in your class, and you can see the changes that they're making live, and you can really collaborate a lot easier. You can be at home, you can be in the same room, but it's just a lot easier if you have your own computer that you can focus on your work together. Next up is big picture.
The big picture in the one-to-one program is that the computer skills that the students learn are very important for their futures in their jobs in college. And it's really important that they learn them now instead of trying to figure it out in college when they probably will have a laptop. And also, we see there's lots of distractions, as you guys probably know, like iChat, Facebook, all of those kind of things, and online games. But those kind of there's a positive side to that because the students will learn how to deal with it and how to manage their time. And instead of trying to figure it out in college when you get a laptop, it's much easier to figure it out now when your teachers can be there to help you and other students. And in college, your professors might not be as forgiving for that. Also, you learn skills about how to tell what sites are reliable and which ones aren't. So those help when you're researching projects in the future or just in high school in general. So now you guys can ask us questions if you have any, and be happy to answer them.
So this was just kind of like a simple overview of some things that in our high school that we do with our one-to-one laptops, and this is kind of interesting for us because we're not usually the teachers, and so it's different. But now it's your turn as the students to ask those questions that maybe make us think, and maybe we'll have trouble answering.
Do you have a laptop assigned to you that you take with you and take home like the middle school students?
Yes, we have a laptop that we get in.
Repeat the question.
He asked,
If you have a laptop assigned to you.
do we have a laptop assigned to us that we use all through the high school career? And yes, we do. We get a laptop freshman year, and we'll use that laptop. We can take it home all throughout the year. We have to turn it in during February break, April break, and Christmas break, and we use that freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and senior year, but we do not have the same laptop from middle school.
To follow up then, could you imagine using your one-to-one program if you had to leave your laptop at school?
No.
It wouldn't work. The whole piece taking it home wouldn't carry over. I mean, you can't expect, these laptops are expensive. You can't expect a family, who has multiple kids to go out and buy laptops for their son or daughter just to continue their learning and keep up with the classroom. The whole thing with one-to-one is it really levels the playing field. All kids have this laptop. All kids have the same machine, and they can do the same things. So it gives the kids an opportunity to take it wherever they want. You know, if they're an avid reader, they can look at books, they can, you know, research poetry, they can do whatever they want at home. And it really, you know, whatever you want to do, whatever you are interested in, you can expand upon that with this laptop. So, I mean, you really need to be able to take it home and have it with you. Any other questions? Oh, yes.
In addition to taking home your laptops, do you also carry a huge load of books? Or are your textbooks all available on your laptops?
The question was, do we have textbooks and books available online? And the answer is yes. Most of the textbooks that we get now have a little code in them. And I mean, the biology books, the history books, they all have this little code. And you go to their website, I mean, the biology ones, like www.glencoe.com, you type in, you know, this like jumble of letters, and then the textbook is available right there online. And it's just, so you do not need to carry this, you know, 7-pound book in your bag, and it just makes it a lot easier for the kids, and there's no excuse to forget it.
What I think is one of the big advantages to using an online textbook, especially in biology class, is A, I don't have to bring it to school every day, and B, I can search it. So I can search for cell reproduction or cilia, and I can see everything in the book about cilia or cell reproduction, and I don't have to go hunting through it. So it's just a lot easier to you know, find more information from your textbook.
We do get the hard copy of the book if that's like if you're a student that likes reading the book, that actually likes reading the book, we do get a copy, but it's an optional that you have whether you bring it to class or not. Yep. Do we use the laptop in parent-teacher conferences?
Yeah, last year we used the laptops for to create a portfolio sort of thing, and you could use iWeb or you could just make a slideshow. And so we do use them for like conferences and that sort of thing to show your parents what you've been doing online and projects that you've done in school. I think that's really helpful.
We're also going to be doing a CEP next week, and it's where we career shadow someone and to help our possible fields of interest, and we're going to be keeping a log on that, probably on a Google Way tool. So then we're going to be putting together a presentation to show the rest of our advisees to see maybe if they would like to do something like that. So that's a really other way that we use presentations to kind of reach to everyone and show what our experience was.
Well, like as we said before, the MLTI, which is like the all-encompassing program that gives us these laptops, they have tried and have succeeded in every way in leveling the playing field. So they do help the families that do not have internet access at home to try and provide everyone with that. So, yes, but you can also, I mean, most public libraries have it. Yeah. Is the school filtered at all? This school, yes it is. Facebook is blocked on the school, but there's a lot of, I mean, if a kid wants to be distracted, he can be distracted with whatever he wants. I mean, so I mean, it's not necessarily Facebook, and I mean, so it's the first week it's tough, and you are distracted. But then you learn that, hey, I gotta buckle down, I gotta get my work done, and you get over that hurdle of, the distractions, and then the filters they don't really need to be there at the end of the year, because you know that, hey, this time I really need to work, and if I get it done now, then at home I can go on Facebook, I can play games, I can do whatever I want. So yes, we have filters, but towards the end of the year, you know, they might as well not be there because nobody tries to go on Facebook anyway. Yes?
You've mentioned science and phys ed and a few contents, but is it used in all content areas? English, math?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. For example, in math, we use a program called Grapher, where you can put in the equation and it graphs the line, which is great because we're doing some quadratic functions, and sometimes that's tough for what we know to graph. So that gives us an automatic answer. In English, yeah, I mean, constantly writing and editing papers on pages, and so that's huge. Just not necessarily on the internet, but for the laptop, just using a word processing document.
In art, we also take a lot of pictures of the things we make and put them on a portfolio, and that's a way to also like display our work and show it to other people.
What if you have elementary brothers or sisters that you could speak to what technology they're doing at the elementary level?
The elementary kids are actually, I mean, I was surprised. Like, I have a brother in 7th grade, and he probably knows at this point more than I know. I mean, those kids, they have their laptop, they love their laptop, and I mean, he probably does more than I do. You know, I mean, when I was in 7th grade, we get our laptops, and at the first, in the first like half the year, I didn't really know how to use it. You know, I was still going back to books. But my little brother Tucker, he's on his laptop all the time. I mean, he researches his projects, he writes his stuff, even like going down to finding the books online that he leaves in school, he can get his homework done still, and I'm just constantly amazed with how he handles it.
I have a little brother in 3rd grade, and I think it's really amazing what they can do. They can do stuff that I can't do. They use animation programs. They can draw little stick animations that show progress of events, and I'm just blown away because I can't figure that out, and here they are, they're teaching me, and I never even heard the program before, so I think that's really great when someone younger than you teaches you something.
Any more questions?
Last one. Can you imagine school without technology?
I can only imagine,
That's amazing. We didn't set that up either, so and give these guys a big round of applause. They're amazing. It was great. And I think that, your question, we've not lost the point that we don't have one-to-one here at Bonny Eagle, but we're working on it. And I think we all hear today why we want to work towards it, why we want to make that happen for our kids, and why it's really important. We also can't mark time while we're making that happen, and we need to make sure that we're using technology with the students because they say they can't imagine school without it. And so let's not make them imagine school without it. Let's just make sure that we can offer as much as we possibly can. The sessions today will really show you how you can use technology on carts and in the middle school with one-to-one. And let's just work together towards the receiving of the one-to-one for all the kids. I think we can make it happen. And when we're getting there, we're getting very close. So a few announcements. I just want you to know that the items in the cafeteria were provided by True Choice, and it's really kind of a grab and go. They'll be there all day, so help yourself. If you're going to be at the middle school and you want to grab some water or fruit before you head over, please make sure that you attend the session you signed up for. Many of the presenters received the list before, and they prepared this session just for you. And so don't jump into another session. It really will skew the work of those presenters. Don't forget to sign in, very important to get your credit. Make sure you complete the evaluation at the end of the day. That's key too. There will be a wellness walk at the middle school inside. So meet in the middle school gym at lunch if you'd like to do that. I know the wellness team has some prizes for you if you're interested. I want to make sure we thank the technology department, Scott, Tanya, and all of those people that helped make this day work. And I want to thank the assistant curriculum coordinator, Christine Hessler, who totally made this day work. Yeah. I also want to mention, this was mentioned earlier, but we mentioned Patty Poirier. She's my secretary. She stepped up yesterday in the afternoon to take a session on Excel and teach it today because our presenter is ill at home. And so again, Patty, thank you, thank you. And don't forget to evaluate your day. We want to hear what you'd like to do next year. We hope you enjoy the day, make the best of it, make it what you need, ask the presenters for the help that you need, and have a great day. Thanks.